People look at me and, I'm still overweight, but especially when I was like morbidly obese. And, well, maybe I'm still considered morbidly obese, but you know what I mean. People look and they think, wow, how did she let herself get like that? Like it just happened overnight. Like one morning I woke up and boom, I was almost 600 pounds. But that's not how it works. Nobody just wakes up overweight. There's a story behind it. 100 little decisions and habits and beliefs that pile up over the years. And today I'm going to share my story, how it really happened. Because if you've ever felt like you just woke up in a body you didn't recognize, you are not alone. This is emotional. For me, it started young. When I say young, I mean baby, toddler, and on and on and on. I grew up in a food environment where processed food was normal. Home cooked, greasy, fatty, overly rich food. Junk food, soda, ultra processed food. It wasn't special. It was just everyday life. I didn't learn about nutrition. I didn't learn about portion control. I didn't learn that food could be healing. I just learned that food was comfort. Food was always there for me. And when you grow up like that from birth, your brain just wires around it. So while other kids are learning balance, I was learning how to use food to cope. So, a huge part of that story was my grandmother's house. When I was little, I spent almost every day there. Before I started school, I was there all day, every day after school started. I was there before and after, I think I said that. And summers, I was there all day long. My grandmother was a baker. She made cakes for a living. And not just an occasional baker, for a living. So cakes and icing all the time. That was the backdrop of my childhood. And on top of that, she was a home cook, and a good one. Just not good for you. But her cooking was greasy, rich, and heavy. Dinner wasn't just a meal, it was a feast. Fried potatoes, biscuits and gravy, bacon, fried pies, fried meats. You name it, she made it. I don't even think we ever had a vegetable. Not very often anyway, unless it was deep fried like okra or green beans full of bacon fat. We ate dinner at my grandmother's every single night during the week. And here's the thing. I also made my own plate. Even as a little girl, no one told me when to stop. No one said, no, that's too much. If I wanted seconds, I got it. Thirds, sure. But it didn't stop there. She had a whole room with an extra fridge, a separate freezer, and that fridge was stocked with every soft drink you could imagine. The freezer packed with ice cream, popsicles, frozen treats. It was like a convenience store in the house. The pantry, cookies, cakes, donuts, candy, Debbie's, anything I wanted, it was there. And guess what? The rules were very simple. There weren't any rules. By the time I was 6, I would sit with half a gallon of ice cream and eat straight from the container until I was done. Nobody stopped me. Looking back, it's easy to see how food became my normal. Food was always there. It was a comfort. It was abundance. It was how we lived. I believe the only reason I wasn't a 200-pound 6-year-old was because I was active as I was. I loved being outside, riding my bikes, playing with friends, kickball. And at 5, I fell in love with softball. And I played until I was in my teens. So yeah, I was super active. I didn't sit around watching TV or playing video games. I was always moving. That's what balanced it out. Plus being young probably helped too. But the foundation was already being laid. My relationship with food was shaped right there in my grandmother's house. And don't get me wrong, she loved me. But here's the thing. When you start life like that, it is not a choice. It's just your normal. It's just the way your life is lived. And by the time I was a teen, food wasn't just comfort. It was a full-blown addiction. I, of course, being a kid, had no clue that I had a food addiction. Didn't even know what it was. I thought it was just normal. I had just a few core group of friends as a teen. I was bullied, picked on, and hardly anyone wanted to be my friend because I was the fat girl. I was left out of stuff that the other teens were doing. I wasn't able to do the things that they did, at least not easily. I just felt like an outcast. All of these things made me turn to food even more. I ate when I was sad. I ate when I was happy. I ate when I was bored. Food was always the answer. It became that food was the only thing I could always rely on. It was what made me feel happy, and it felt like the only thing I had in my life. And here's the trap that nobody hardly talks about. The more you use food to cope, the more you need food to cope. Your brain just craves it. Your body starts depending on it. So the weight just crept on more year after year after year. And every time I tried to diet, that addiction just got stronger. Because diets, they don't cure food addiction. They just put a Band-Aid fix on it very, very temporarily. And as I got older, life got harder. More responsibilities, more stress, and the food was my only tool. Bad day at work, drive-through. Lonely, tub of ice cream. Celebrating, how about a pizza? Food was always there. So, food became my everything. I got married really young. And you would think maybe that would stabilize things. But it didn't. If anything, it pushed me deeper into a spiral of addiction because we were both foodies. And not the farm-to-table whole food kind of foodies. I'm talking deep-fried, sugar-loaded, eat out every night foodies. We would go to Sam's Club and stock up on things to just fry. So, chicken fingers, french fries, cheese sticks, all the frozen junk you can imagine. We'd buy giant tubs of cookie dough, candy by the box, ice cream by the gallons. At one point, we even dreamed about putting a soda machine in our basement, a movie theater popcorn machine, and a whole candy bar. Like, literally turning our basement into a concession stand. That's how out of control my eating was. We ate out every chance we got. We rarely cooked at home, and when we did, the food was terrible. It wasn't good for you. So, food was entertainment. Food was comfort. Food was my entire life. And when you live like that, the weight just adds up super fast. Until one day, I looked in the mirror and didn't even recognize myself. And then comes the shame. Because it's not just the weight. It's the stories that you tell yourself about the weight. I'm lazy. I'm broken. I'm disgusting. And that shame makes you want to hide. And when you hide, guess what you do? You eat more. It's just a vicious, never-ending cycle. So, no, you don't just wake up overweight. You build it, one coping mechanism at a time. For me, the breaking point came when I could barely live my life anymore. I was well over 500 pounds. Walking across a room felt impossible. I couldn't drive. I had to use an electric wheelchair everywhere I went. I couldn't even take care of myself anymore. My husband had to step in and do so much for me. Even the simple stuff like putting on my own shoes and socks, I couldn't do. I had to sit to do everything. Cooking, cleaning, folding laundry, even just moving around the house. Working outside the home was not an option anymore. And socially, no. I said no to almost everything because every invitation meant panic. Would I fit? Would the chair hold me? Would the anxiety of all the what ifs overwhelm me so much that I'd just want to leave? Most of the time it was easier to just say no. I refused to be in pictures. I avoided the videos. Fun activities were totally off the table. I had to check weight limits for everything I wanted to do. I even considered doing, for everything I considered doing. So chairs, rides, equipment, you name it. And that's when it hit me. If I don't change something, this is it. This is my life. And honestly, I probably wasn't even going to make it that much longer. And that realization was terrifying. I had children and a husband. I want to grow old with him. I want to see my grandchildren. So, how did I turn it around? Not by another diet. Not by another quick fix. I started digging into why I couldn't stop eating. Why I kept going back even when I swore I wouldn't. And what I discovered was life-changing. I wasn't just weak. I was addicted to processed food. I was caught in what's called the pleasure trap. And it finally made sense. When you eat salt, sugar, and oil, and don't get me wrong, these are chemicals, not real food, your brain gets hijacked. You stay stuck in this cycle of cravings, addiction, and overeating. That knowledge flipped a switch for me. I realized if I wanted to break free, I had to educate myself on how to actually eat. I had to strip away the chemicals and go back to whole natural foods. Foods that are high in nutrients. Foods that will end cravings. Foods that satisfy without addicting me. And it wasn't just about the food either. I had to change my relationship with myself. Food couldn't be my whole life anymore. I had to start finding joy in other things. I had to put myself first. I had to build habits and routines. I had to create structure, a framework to help me thrive. Most of all, I had to change my identity. I had to stop seeing myself as the broken, hopeless, food-addicted girl who always quit. And I started seeing myself as the healthy, happy, vibrant person I was meant to be. That's when things started to shift. And it wasn't overnight. And it wasn't perfect. But it was steady. Until now, which I'm in a little bit of a plateau. But that's a whole different story and video. But here's the secret. The weight doesn't just fall off when you change your food. It falls off when you change your mind. Here's what I want you to hear. Carrying extra weight isn't about being lazy or being broken. Most of us were never taught how to eat in a way that actually supports our bodies. We were raised in food environments that wired us to depend on processed foods, and that's exactly what addiction does. But here's the truth. It can change. And it doesn't start with huge, overwhelming overhauls. It starts with small, doable shifts. Things like building in one big salad every day as your main meal, closing that kitchen after dinner, taking a simple 10-minute walk. These might feel too small to even matter, but don't underestimate them. Because when you stack small shifts, they're going to rebuild your identity. They turn into momentum. And that's how real transformation begins. These days, my life looks completely different. I focus on staying hydrated, moving my body, and eating high nutrient whole plant foods, and lots of self-care and love. Those simple habits will keep me grounded, and they give me structure. Do I struggle sometimes? Absolutely. I'm human. Right now, as I said earlier, I'm dealing with a lot. Medical issues, a plateau in my weight loss, injuries. the old me would have spiraled. I would have thrown in the towel. But this version of me, I choose to keep showing up. I keep working through it, finding ways to stay as healthy as I can, to keep moving forward, even when it doesn't look or feel like it's working in the moment. I know that the choices I'm making are building for a future payoff. And I remind myself, things are going to get better. The scale is going to start moving again. My body is going to continue to heal. But in the meantime, my job is to do what I know is right, to stay patient. Because here's the biggest difference. I don't believe I'm broken anymore. I know I'm healing. And that belief drives every single choice that I make. So here's the big truth. You didn't just wake up overnight, and you won't just wake up healthy. But the same way weight builds up, health builds up too. One choice at a time. One belief at a time. And if you can stack the right choices, the right beliefs, you will create a life you love. And if you're just starting out, grab my free guide, the 5-step roadmap to food freedom. It's simple, practical, and gives you the exact steps I use to stop spiraling and start healing. And that link is in the description box below. So let me leave you with this. If you feel like you can't do it, remember, this isn't the end of your story. It's just the middle, or maybe the beginning. You're not broken. You're not hopeless, and you are not lazy. You are human. You have been coping the only way you know how. But now you know better, and now you can do better. If I can lose 200 pounds and rebuild my life, so can you. So, drop a comment below and tell me, what's one small shift you're ready to make today? Because that's how it starts. Not with perfection, not with some diet, but with one shift. And when you stack them, that's when everything changes. You've got this. Until our next conversation, stay kind to yourself, eat like you love yourself, and keep going. You are doing way better than you think. Bye for now.